By late afternoon, the picnic ground has already become an artificial ecosystem. Heat radiates upward from wooden tables baked under direct sunlight. Sugary vapor drifts invisibly through the still air, and fragments of fruit, bread, meat, and spilled soda create concentrated pockets of nutrition, unlike anything naturally distributed across the surrounding landscape. To humans, the setting appears temporary and casual, a short pause between meals and conversation. To a wasp, moving through the environment on vibrating wings, it resembles an ecological jackpot. Long before people notice the first striped body circling near a drink can, the chemical signature of the picnic has already spread across the field like a beacon. A worker wasp does not wander randomly. Every movement is shaped by relentless energetic economics. Colonies survive on constant intake, and during the warmest months of the year, the nutritional demands inside a mature nest become immense. Thousands of larvae hidden inside layered paper chambers require protein for growth, while adult workers depend heavily on carbohydrates to fuel continuous flight. This division creates one of the most fascinating feeding systems among social insects. The larvae consume chewed insects and meat provided by workers, then produce sugary secretions that adults feed upon in return. A functioning colony therefore behaves almost like a circulating digestive organism spread across hundreds or thousands of bodies. When humans arrive carrying sweet drinks, ripe fruit, processed sugars, and exposed meat into an open park, they unintentionally compress an enormous amount of energy into a tiny, easily exploitable area. The first wasps usually arrive alone. A single yellow jacket zigzags low over the grass, guided less by vision than by chemical traces drifting from the table. Compound eyes detect movement efficiently, but odor is what transforms vague curiosity into direct pursuit. Sensitive antennae sample airborne molecules constantly, interpreting invisible gradients in real time. Fermenting fruit releases alcohols and esters. Sugary drinks emit volatile compounds rarely encountered in such concentration in the wild. Even proteins from sliced ham or grilled meat broadcast molecular signals associated with valuable nitrogen sources. The wasp follows these overlapping chemical trails with astonishing precision, slowing only when the source becomes visually identifiable against the bright geometry of plates, bottles, and human hands. At close range, the behavior changes from navigation to assessment. The wasp lands briefly on exposed fruit, folding its wings along the body, while its mouthparts probe the surface. Unlike bees, which possess branched hairs specialized for pollen collection, most picnic-invading wasps are sleek hunters built for speed, cutting, and transport. Their mandibles are efficient tools capable of scraping fibers from wood for nest construction or slicing flesh from prey. In natural environments, that prey often includes caterpillars, flies, beetle larvae, and other insects harvested from vegetation. A single colony can remove thousands of herbivorous insects from forests and gardens over the course of a season, functioning as a major predator regulating ecological balance. Yet around a picnic table, those same predatory adaptations become redirected toward processed human food with almost comical efficiency. The escalation happens quickly because successful foraging rarely remains secret. A returning worker carries food and chemical information back to the colony, where recruitment begins indirectly through increased outbound activity. Within minutes, the isolated scout becomes part of a growing airborne network. More wasps appear from different directions, each flying with abrupt angular movements that create the familiar tension humans associate with outdoor eating. Their flight style is not erratic panic, but hyper-responsive maneuverability evolved for navigating dense vegetation and intercepting prey in confined spaces. Rapid directional changes allow them to avoid swatting hands with startling consistency. What appears aggressive is often simply precision. Temperature also shapes the encounter. Wasps are ectothermic, relying heavily on environmental heat to maintain efficient muscle performance. Warm summer afternoons allow rapid wing beat frequency and extended foraging ranges, turning open recreational spaces into peak activity zones. Some species even regulate nest temperature collectively by fanning wings near entrances or collecting water droplets for evaporative cooling. This sensitivity to thermal conditions explains why wasp activity often intensifies during the hottest portions of the day, precisely when humans gather outdoors with cold drinks and exposed food. At the center of the tension lies a biological misunderstanding between species. Humans interpret direct flight toward faces or hands as hostility, yet the wasps are usually responding to scent concentration, moisture, color contrast, or abrupt movement. Carbon dioxide from breath, residues of sugar on skin, and even floral perfumes can attract investigative behavior. Defensive aggression generally emerges only when a wasp perceives crushing motion, rapid vibration, or alarm pheromones released by injured colony members. A swatted wasp can chemically transform a calm feeding site into a defensive zone within seconds. As daylight begins to soften, the picnic table resembles less a leisure scene and more a temporary feeding station embedded within a larger ecological system. Ants move below through the grass, collecting fallen fragments. Flies patrol the humid air above discarded fruit. And among them, the wasps remain the most visible reminder that concentrated food never goes unnoticed in nature for long. Human gatherings unintentionally mimic the sudden abundance created by fallen fruiting trees, animal carcasses, or sap leaks in forests, and social wasps have evolved precisely to exploit those fleeting opportunities with ruthless efficiency. What feels like intrusion is, from the insect's perspective, simply successful survival behavior, unfolding exactly as evolution designed it to. The bee arrives without urgency. Its flight path lacks the sharp, investigative angles of a wasp and instead drifts in slow arcs above the picnic blanket, hovering momentarily near clusters of color before changing direction again. Sunlight catches the translucent membranes of its wings as they vibrate fast enough to blur into glass-like crescents, while grains of pollen already dust the dense hairs covering its thorax. Around the open field, clover blooms and wildflowers sway under the weight of other pollinators moving methodically through the afternoon heat. Yet the picnic itself has become entangled with the same visual language those flowers use to attract attention. Bright fabrics, sliced fruit, floral patterns on cups and plates, and sugary residue exposed under direct sunlight combine into an artificial feeding patch that overlaps almost perfectly with the sensory world of a foraging honeybee. Unlike predators searching for meat or carrion, worker honeybees are primarily driven by nectar and pollen collection. Every excursion away from the hive is governed by extraordinary energetic mathematics. Flight is metabolically expensive, requiring rapid muscular contractions fueled almost entirely by sugar. A forager therefore seeks concentrated carbohydrate sources capable of maximizing energy intake relative to travel distance. In natural ecosystems, flowering plants compete intensely for pollinator attention by advertising these resources through ultraviolet patterns, scent compounds, and color contrasts, invisible or less obvious to humans. A picnic table unknowingly reproduces many of those same signals. Open jars of jam release dense sugar odors into warm air currents. Crushed berries oxidize under sunlight, producing sweet, volatile compounds. Bright yellows, whites, and blues common in outdoor tableware happen to fall within the visual sensitivity range of bees, whose trichromatic vision is tuned not to red, but to ultraviolet, blue, and green wavelengths. The bee circles lower. Human movement nearby slows as people notice the insect hovering beside a plate of fruit, yet stillness itself contributes to the confusion. Flowers do not move unpredictably. A seated human holding a brightly colored drink near blooming decorative plants can temporarily resemble part of the feeding landscape, especially when sugary residues coat fingers or lips. The bee's antennae sweep constantly through the air, sampling chemical information while its compound eyes process motion with remarkable efficiency. At close range, it lands softly near the rim of a soda can, where dried droplets have formed a concentrated sugar crust. This is where many picnic encounters become dangerous, not because of aggression, but because of misunderstanding. Honeybees are generally reluctant to sting away from the hive. A worker that uses its barbed stinger against mammalian skin suffers catastrophic injury afterward, effectively sacrificing itself. Evolution has therefore shaped bees to prioritize avoidance whenever possible. Most defensive responses occur only under crushing pressure, trapped conditions, or sudden threats near colony entrances. Yet open beverage containers create one of the most hazardous situations imaginable for both species. Bees investigating sweetness may crawl inside cans or bottles where darkness and confined surfaces mimic sheltered cavities. A human taking an unnoticed sip can accidentally compress the insect against sensitive tissue, triggering a sting reflex in a context that began as ordinary foraging behavior. Beyond the immediate encounter lies a much larger ecological story unfolding invisibly around the picnic ground. Each bee, moving between flowers and scattered food traces, belongs to a colony functioning as a highly organized superorganism. Tens of thousands of workers coordinate labor through chemical communication, tactile interactions, and one of the most sophisticated navigation systems in the insect world. Successful foragers returning to the hive perform waggle dances across vertical honeycomb surfaces, encoding distance, direction, and solar orientation through movement patterns interpreted by nestmates in darkness. A patch of flowering plants near the picnic site may already be mapped within this collective memory network, making any nearby sugary anomaly especially easy to discover. Temperature also shapes the rhythm of the encounter. Honeybees regulate hive climate with astonishing precision, maintaining brood chambers within a narrow thermal range necessary for larval development. During hot weather, workers collect water and fan their wings at hive entrances to create evaporative cooling systems resembling biological air conditioning. Those same warm conditions accelerate floral nectar production and increase foraging intensity across the landscape. The picnic takes place at exactly the hour when pollinator traffic is often at its peak. As the afternoon continues, the bee moves calmly between fruit slices and nearby flowers planted along the edge of the park. Pollen baskets on its hind legs gradually thicken with yellow dust collected from blossoms beyond the blanket. In this moment, the insect is not invading human space so much as following ancient evolutionary instructions through a modern environment saturated with misleading abundance. Human recreation unintentionally imitates floral ecology on an exaggerated scale, concentrating sugar, moisture, scent, and color into one exposed location. The bee responds not with malice, but with the same quiet efficiency that has linked flowering plants and pollinators for more than 100 million years. At first, the invasion is almost invisible. Above the blanket, attention remains fixed on hovering insects and exposed food, while beneath the edge of the picnic cloth, an entirely different operation has already begun. In the shaded layer between grass stems and compacted soil, a single ant moves with abrupt, efficient precision across the uneven terrain, pausing only when its antennae touch the sticky residue of spilled juice soaking into the earth. To humans, the droplet is insignificant, already forgotten seconds after it splashed from a cup. To the ant, it is evidence of something extraordinary nearby. A concentrated food source far richer than most naturally occurring opportunities scattered through the surrounding ecosystem. The scout continues forward, weaving beneath the fabric folds of the blanket where crumbs, fruit fibers, and fragments of bread have fallen into a protected microclimate of shade and moisture. Ant vision is relatively poor in many species, especially compared to flying insects, but sight matters far less here than chemistry. The world of an ant is constructed primarily through scent. Every surface carries information. Soil composition, colony identity, danger signals, food quality, and navigational routes are all encoded chemically, interpreted through antennae that function with astonishing sensitivity. As the scout discovers additional food particles, it lays a pheromone trail on the return journey, creating an invisible line that transforms random discovery into organized exploitation. Within minutes, the ground begins to change. From narrow openings hidden between roots and stones, more ants emerge and lock onto the chemical path with machine-like accuracy. What appears chaotic at human scale is in reality an advanced, decentralized transport network built entirely through collective behavior. No individual ant understands the entire operation, yet together they form one of the most effective resource extraction systems in the natural world. The picnic has unintentionally created exactly the kind of ecological event ants evolved to exploit. A sudden, localized concentration of nutrients vulnerable to rapid harvesting before competitors arrive. Leafcutter ants approach this opportunity with a biological strategy unlike almost any other insect on Earth. Despite their name, They do not consume leaves directly. Instead, they function as farmers. Deep underground, hidden beneath mounds that may contain millions of individuals, the colony cultivates specialized fungal gardens fed with freshly cut vegetation. Workers carrying leaf fragments back to the nest are not gathering food for themselves, but raw material for an agricultural system that evolved millions of years before humans practiced farming. Inside the nest, smaller workers chew the leaves into pulp, inoculate the substrate with fungal tissue, and carefully maintain humidity, temperature, and cleanliness to sustain the crop. The fungus becomes the colony's true food source. That agricultural specialization explains why a picnic blanket becomes so attractive. Fruit scraps, bread, and soft plant material represent easily processed organic matter, requiring far less labor than harvesting intact leaves from surrounding vegetation. Tiny workers begin cutting fragments from fallen lettuce or melon rind with mandibles sharp enough to slice through fibrous plant tissue many times thicker than their own bodies. The efficiency is startling. A discarded grape skin becomes cargo. A piece of sandwich crust turns into harvestable biomass. Even decorative leaves scattered around the picnic area may attract attention if they possess the right moisture balance and nutrient composition. Closer to the soil, the scale of organization becomes extraordinary. Larger soldier ants patrol the moving columns, while medium-sized workers transport oversized fragments overhead, like mobile sails drifting through grass. Smaller hitchhiker ants sometimes ride atop the leaf pieces themselves, guarding carriers against parasitic flies that attempt to lay eggs on exposed workers during transport. This layered defensive system reveals how deeply warfare, agriculture, and logistics are woven into ant society. Every individual performs specialized labor within a superorganism whose collective intelligence emerges entirely through chemical communication and environmental feedback. The picnic site itself gradually transforms into contested territory. Ant trails expand outward beneath plates and baskets, branching toward every new food source discovered by scouts. Human attempts to interrupt the invasion often create only temporary confusion. Wiping away one line merely forces workers to establish another route around the disturbance, guided by rapidly reinforced pheromone signals. Ant colonies are remarkably resilient because they do not rely on centralized leadership. Damage to one section of the network rarely collapses the whole system. Temperature and moisture further intensify the activity. Warm ground accelerates ant metabolism and increases foraging speed, while the shaded underside of a picnic blanket traps humidity that prevents smaller workers from drying out under direct sun. In many tropical environments, leafcutter ants carefully time surface activity to avoid lethal heat exposure, sometimes shifting labor into cooler evening hours or damp weather conditions. The artificial shade created by humans unintentionally produces ideal operating conditions for prolonged harvesting. By the time the meal begins winding down, the ground beneath the blanket has become an active transportation corridor. Tiny workers disappear into vegetation, carrying fragments stolen from a world vastly larger than themselves, feeding fungal gardens hidden in darkness below the soil. The encounter feels almost inevitable because it is rooted in one of nature's oldest survival strategies. When concentrated resources appear suddenly in the environment, ants arrive to dismantle and redistribute them with relentless efficiency. What humans experience as nuisance behavior is, at its core, the visible edge of an ancient biological civilization functioning exactly as evolution intended. The atmosphere of the picnic changes as daylight weakens. Bright heat drains slowly from the open field, replaced by cooler shadows stretching beneath trees and across damp grass. The movement of people slows with it. Plates remain scattered across the blanket, drinks sweat in the humid air, and bodies settle into stillness after hours of activity. This transition, almost unnoticeable to humans, marks the beginning of a different ecological phase. The feeding frenzy surrounding exposed food starts to fade, and another set of organisms emerges from the surrounding vegetation with an entirely different target in mind. Near the edge of the picnic site, where tall grass traps moisture and evening air hangs heavy beneath low branches, mosquitoes begin rising from shaded resting places. Their appearance is not random. Mosquitoes are intensely sensitive to environmental conditions and the cooling hours around sunset often provide ideal humidity and temperature for flight. Direct midday sunlight can rapidly dehydrate such delicate insects, especially species adapted for humid wetlands or forest margins. Evening allows them to operate with reduced water loss while remaining airborne for longer periods. In this softer light, the picnic itself transforms from a source of discarded food into something biologically far more valuable. A cluster of warm-blooded animals breathing steadily in one confined location. The mosquito's world is governed by chemical detection at astonishing precision. Long before one lands on exposed skin, it has already interpreted an invisible landscape surrounding the human body. Carbon dioxide drifting from every breath creates one of the primary long-range signals. Specialized sensory organs on the mosquito's antennae and mouthparts detect changes in carbon dioxide concentration from surprisingly far distances, allowing females to orient themselves toward living hosts even in darkness. But carbon dioxide alone is only the beginning. Human skin continuously releases lactic acid, ammonia, fatty acids, and hundreds of other volatile compounds shaped by genetics, diet, bacteria, and metabolism. Every person carries a slightly different chemical signature, which explains why some individuals seem disproportionately attractive to mosquitoes, while others nearby receive fewer bites. A resting human becomes especially vulnerable because stillness stabilizes these chemical plumes. Movement disperses heat and scent unpredictably through turbulent air currents, making precise targeting more difficult. But seated bodies resting close to the ground produce steady thermal signatures that mosquitoes can track with remarkable efficiency. Exposed ankles near humid grass become ideal landing zones. Bare arms resting motionless against a picnic blanket radiate warmth directly into cooling evening air. Even dark-colored clothing contributes by absorbing residual heat and creating visual contrast detectable to mosquito eyes, adapted for low-light navigation. The female mosquito approaches cautiously. Only females seek blood meals because the proteins and iron contained within blood are essential for egg production. Males survive entirely on plant sugars and nectar, often feeding quietly among flowers nearby without ever approaching humans. This distinction reveals a strange ecological duality within mosquitoes themselves. The same insect group infamous for transmitting disease also functions as pollinators for numerous plant species across wetlands, forests, and tundra ecosystems. Some orchids are pollinated primarily by mosquitoes, and adults of both sexes frequently feed on nectar as their main energy source. Blood feeding is not constant predation, but a specialized reproductive strategy layered onto an otherwise plant-associated life cycle. As the mosquito lands, another set of adaptations comes into play. The insect's mouthparts are not a simple needle, but a highly specialized feeding apparatus composed of multiple microscopic structures working together. Flexible sheaths bend backward, while serrated components pierce skin with minimal detection. Saliva containing anticoagulants and mild anesthetic compounds enters first, preventing blood clotting while reducing immediate sensation. In many cases, the host notices nothing until after the mosquito has already fed and departed. The itching response comes later, triggered not by the bite itself, but by the immune system reacting to foreign proteins left behind in the skin. Around the picnic area, dozens of these interactions may unfold simultaneously without immediate awareness. Mosquitoes navigate silently through layers of warm air rising from human bodies, using infrared sensitivity and chemical tracking in combination. Some species specialize in birds, others in amphibians or mammals, while certain highly adaptable mosquitoes thrive specifically in human-altered environments. Containers left near campsites, clogged gutters, ponds, and even forgotten bottle caps filled with rainwater can become nurseries for larvae. The mosquito life cycle is intimately tied to standing water, where aquatic larvae filter feed beneath the surface before transforming into airborne adults. A temporary puddle formed after recent rainfall may already contain developing generations preparing to emerge. Predators also gather as evening deepens. Dragonflies patrol the open air above the field, intercepting mosquitoes mid-flight with astonishing aerial precision. Bats begin weaving through the dimming sky, consuming huge quantities of nocturnal insects during active hunting bursts. Yet despite these pressures, mosquitoes remain among the most successful insects on Earth because their reproductive strategy depends on exploiting brief feeding opportunities with extraordinary efficiency. By the time darkness settles fully over the picnic ground, the encounter has shifted entirely. The food on the blanket matters less now than the living bodies beside it. Warm skin, slow breathing, and lingering stillness have become part of the ecosystem itself, turning humans from observers into biological resources woven directly into the feeding patterns of the surrounding night. The picnic blanket settles across the ground with the casual confidence of temporary ownership, its corners spread over exposed roots, dry soil, and flat stones warmed for hours beneath direct sunlight. Nearby trees provide partial shade without fully cooling the earth, creating the kind of balanced microclimate humans instinctively seek during warm weather. The location feels comfortable because it avoids extremes. The grass is dry enough to sit on, the wind is softened by trunks and shrubs, and the remaining sunlight reaches the ground in scattered patches rather than harsh open exposure. Yet this same environmental balance has already attracted another community long before people arrived. At the edge of the blanket, movement begins to emerge from what initially appeared to be scattered debris. Tiny black and red bodies gather in dense clusters beside roots and stones, their colors vivid against pale dust and bark. Firebugs spread slowly outward across the warming surface in loose groups, some climbing over one another, while others remain almost motionless with wings folded flat across their backs like polished shields. Unlike wasps or mosquitoes, they show little interest in human food. No swarm forms around fruit or drinks. No individual attempts to bite, sting, or invade plates. Their presence changes the atmosphere of the picnic for a different reason entirely. The ground itself already belongs to them. Firebugs thrive in precisely the kind of transitional habitat humans often prefer for resting outdoors. They gather around the bases of linden trees beneath shrubs, along sunlit walls, and near exposed roots, where heat accumulates efficiently without becoming lethal. Because they are ectothermic, every aspect of their activity depends on external temperature regulation. Warm surfaces accelerate metabolism, digestion, and reproductive behavior, while cooler conditions reduce movement and force aggregation into sheltered areas that conserve heat. A picnic placed beside stones or roots therefore overlaps directly with one of the insect's preferred thermoregulatory zones. Closer observation reveals that the gathering is not random clustering, but a highly adaptive survival strategy. Firebugs often assemble in large groups to stabilize body temperature and reduce moisture loss, especially during cooler mornings or seasonal transitions. Dense aggregations can contain hundreds or even thousands of individuals layered together within bark crevices, leaf litter, or protected ground depressions. These communal groups create slightly warmer and more humid microenvironments than the surrounding air, improving survival efficiency without requiring complex nests or colonies like those built by ants or bees. As sunlight shifts through the trees, the colors of the insects intensify. Their bright red and black patterning functions as a aposematic coloration, a visual warning evolved to discourage predators. Firebugs feed primarily on seeds, particularly those from mallows and linden trees, and they accumulate defensive chemical compounds from their diet that make them distasteful to many birds and small predators. The warning colors advertise that unprofitability openly. In ecosystems crowded with visually hunting animals, honesty can become more efficient than camouflage. Rather than disappearing into the environment, firebugs survive by becoming unmistakably visible. This visibility transforms the emotional texture of the picnic itself. Human attention repeatedly drifts downward toward the steady movement around the blanket edges, where dozens of insects navigate across roots and stones in overlapping paths. The effect is psychological as much as biological. Even without direct interaction, the concentration of insect life creates the impression that the resting space has been reclaimed by another system already operating beneath human awareness. Yet the insects remain deeply connected to the surrounding ecology. Fallen seeds scattered around the tree base form the center of their feeding network. Using elongated mouthparts adapted for piercing and sucking, firebugs extract nutrients from dry seeds that many other insects cannot efficiently exploit. In doing so, they participate in decomposition pathways that recycle plant material back into the ecosystem. Nymphs and adults alike become prey for spiders, predatory beetles, birds, and parasitic insects capable of bypassing or tolerating their chemical defenses. Even their clustered behavior attracts predators that specialize in exploiting concentrated insect gatherings. The warm ground beneath the picnic also supports countless hidden interactions beyond the visible swarm. Soil microbes break down organic debris beneath the roots. Springtails move through damp pockets beneath stones. Predatory centipedes patrol the darkness below leaf litter, searching for soft-bodied prey. The firebugs occupy only the visible surface layer of a much larger living structure, extending downward into the soil itself. As the afternoon heat begins fading, more firebugs emerge from cracks beneath bark and stones to absorb the last stored warmth radiating from the earth. Their movement remains calm and deliberate, untouched by the human meal nearby. The encounter feels strangely intimate, not because the insects invade the picnic, but because the picnic has been placed directly inside an already functioning insect habitat shaped by heat, shelter, and seasonal resource patterns. Humans often experience outdoor spaces as temporary destinations. For the firebugs clustered beneath the trees, this patch of ground is permanent territory, governed by sunlight, temperature, and survival rhythms, unfolding continuously long before the blanket ever touched the soil. The shield bug appears so still at first that it seems part of the picnic itself. Resting beside a cluster of grapes near the corner of a woven basket, its flattened body mirrors the smooth geometry of a seed husk or folded leaf fragment carried in accidentally from the surrounding vegetation. Only when sunlight shifts across its armored back does the illusion begin to break. Metallic greens and muted bronze tones ripple across the shield-shaped surface, revealing a living insect positioned quietly among the food. Unlike the restless urgency of flies or the aggressive hovering of wasps, the shield bug brings a slower and more unsettling kind of encounter. It does not rush toward the meal. Instead, it blends into it. This subtle overlap between natural textures and human objects explains why shield bugs feel strangely intrusive around picnic spaces. A blanket spread beneath trees unintentionally recreates many of the structural conditions these insects already seek in vegetation. Soft cloth folds mimic sheltered leaves. Fruit piled inside baskets resembles dense feeding clusters found on shrubs and vines. Napkins trap warmth and moisture beneath their creases, while bread crusts and plant stems provide elevated surfaces for resting and exploration. The picnic becomes less a separate human zone and more an extension of the surrounding plant habitat, compressed into one concentrated arrangement of edges, shadows, and organic material. The shield bug moves carefully across the grape skin, testing the surface with antennae that continuously sample texture and chemistry. Most species feed primarily on plant fluids, using specialized piercing mouthparts capable of penetrating fruit skins, seeds, stems, and developing plant tissue. Beneath the folded body rests a long, segmented proboscis, tucked tightly under the thorax until feeding begins. When deployed, it functions like a biological syringe, piercing soft tissue and extracting nutrient-rich fluids from within. In orchards and agricultural systems, some shield bugs become major crop pests, precisely because this feeding style damages developing fruit and introduces microbial infection points beneath the skin. Yet within natural ecosystems, these insects occupy far more complex ecological roles than simple plant parasites. Some species specialize on seeds, helping regulate plant competition across forests and grasslands. Others feed opportunistically on both plant fluids and smaller insects, shifting between herbivory and predation, depending on seasonal availability. Predatory shield bugs stalk caterpillars and beetle larvae through foliage, using stealth rather than speed, injecting digestive enzymes that liquefy internal tissues before consumption. This flexibility has allowed shield bugs to diversify into an enormous range of habitats, from alpine meadows to tropical forests and urban gardens. At the picnic site, however, their greatest advantage is camouflage. The broad, shield-shaped body evolved partly as protection against predators, concealing vulnerable wings and soft tissues beneath hardened plates. Many species combine this armor with coloration that mimics leaves, bark, lichens, or ripening fruit. Even their movement contributes to the disguise. Shield bugs rarely dart or leap unless severely threatened. Instead, they progress with deliberate slowness that reduces visual detection among vegetation, swaying naturally in the wind. This strategy works remarkably well around picnic materials. A shield bug crawling across a patterned napkin can remain unnoticed for long periods, especially when surrounded by fruit stems, crumbs, and leaf fragments carried in from the ground. Human attention tends to focus on fast movement or direct interaction, allowing slower insects to occupy the edges of perception almost invisibly. The surprise comes only during sudden close contact. A hand reaching for grapes, fingers unfolding a napkin, or bread lifted to reveal an insect quietly resting beneath. When disturbed, the shield bug reveals the adaptation that defines its reputation most clearly. Glands located within the thorax release pungent defensive chemicals capable of repelling predators with extraordinary effectiveness. Birds, reptiles, and small mammals quickly learn to associate the odor with an unpleasant feeding experience. The smell itself varies by species, but often carries sharp herbal, metallic, or bitter notes that linger in confined spaces. Around a picnic, this defense becomes especially noticeable because enclosed baskets, containers, and cloth surfaces trap the scent, rather than allowing it to disperse naturally through open vegetation. Temperature again shapes the encounter. Warm sunlight increases shield bug activity and accelerates digestion, while cooler evening temperatures slow movement dramatically. Many species spend mornings basking on exposed leaves or stones to elevate body temperature enough for feeding and reproduction. The partially shaded environment humans prefer for outdoor meals creates ideal thermal gradients, allowing insects to move between warmth and shelter without expending unnecessary energy. As afternoon light filters through surrounding branches, more shield bugs emerge gradually from nearby vegetation. One clings motionless beneath a basket handle. Another navigates along the seam of the blanket where fabric meets grass. None display aggression. Their presence feels invasive only because the boundary between cultivated human order and surrounding ecology has dissolved so completely. Fruit, cloth, baskets, leaves, bark, and insects now occupy the same visual space, layered together into a single habitat, shared temporarily by species following entirely different instincts. The picnic does not attract shield bugs through conflict or competition alone. It attracts them because it accidentally recreates the textures, shelter, warmth, and plant-rich surfaces their evolution has taught them to explore. The movement appears suddenly at the edge of perception, fast enough to feel almost unreal against the slow rhythm of the late afternoon picnic. Near a flowering hedge beside the blanket, something hovers motionless in the air, with wings vibrating into transparency, darting between blossoms with sharp directional precision. At first glance, it resembles a tiny hummingbird, suspended impossibly above the flowers. Its body remains steady, while a long feeding structure extends delicately into the bloom below, withdrawing and repositioning again in fractions of a second. Only after closer observation does the illusion begin to unravel. The creature is not a bird at all, but a hummingbird hawk moth, one of the most convincing examples of convergent evolution found anywhere among insects. The confusion surrounding the encounter is part of what makes it so memorable. Humans instinctively associate hovering flight with birds because few insects move with such sustained aerial control during daylight hours. Yet the hummingbird hawk moth has evolved a feeding strategy remarkably similar to nectar-feeding birds, despite belonging to an entirely different branch of life. Its narrow wings beat at extraordinary speed, generating the lift necessary to hover while feeding without landing. This behavior allows rapid access to flowers while minimizing exposure to ground predators and unstable surfaces. Around picnic spaces filled with flowers, ornamental plants, and sugary scents, the moth's presence feels almost surreal because it blurs familiar biological categories so completely. The picnic itself contributes directly to the encounter. Humans often choose sheltered garden edges, flowering orchards, or hedgerows for outdoor meals because such environments feel visually calm and protected from open wind. These same spaces are ecological corridors rich in nectar-producing plants, warm air pockets, and reduced exposure to predators. Flowering lavender, verbena, jasmine, and phlox. surrounding the picnic site produce strong nectar signals designed specifically to attract pollinators capable of hovering flight. The moth is responding not to human food directly, but to the concentrated bloom-rich habitat unintentionally shared by people seeking the same pleasant conditions. Closer now, the moth reveals details hidden beneath the blur of motion. Its body is thick and muscular, covered in fine scales and dense hairs that insulate the thorax during active flight. The abdomen fans outward at the tip, functioning almost like stabilizing feathers that allow precise aerial maneuvering. Most remarkable of all is the proboscis, an elongated feeding tube coiled beneath the head when not in use. Unfurled during feeding, it probes deep tubular flowers inaccessible to many other insects, allowing the moth to exploit nectar sources requiring specialized anatomy and hovering precision. Unlike many moths associated with darkness, the hummingbird hawk moth operates primarily during daylight and warm twilight hours. This behavioral shift exposes it to visually hunting predators such as birds and dragonflies, but also grants access to flowers heavily visited during the day. Its rapid, darting flight helps compensate for that vulnerability. Few predators can reliably intercept such erratic movement, especially among dense flowering vegetation where maneuverability matters more than speed alone. The surrounding ecosystem pulses quietly beneath the moment. Bees continue working methodically across nearby blooms, collecting pollen in dense baskets along their legs. Hoverflies imitate stinging insects while feeding harmlessly on nectar. Spiders remain hidden within petals and leaves, waiting for pollinators to drift too close. Even the flowers themselves are active participants in this exchange, advertising rewards through color, scent, shape, and ultraviolet patterns invisible to human eyes, but highly legible to insect pollinators. As the moth hovers near the picnic table, another layer of misunderstanding emerges. Reflective drink surfaces, bright fruit slices, and floral patterned fabrics create visual interruptions that briefly attract investigation. The moth may pause near a brightly colored cup or drift close to hanging fruit before correcting course toward actual flowers nearby. These momentary approaches feel startling because the insect is large enough and fast enough to command immediate attention, yet entirely uninterested in confrontation. Its focus remains fixed on nectar acquisition and energy efficiency. The metabolic demands behind this flight style are enormous. Hovering requires continuous muscular exertion, generating intense internal heat. To sustain such activity, hummingbird hawk moths rely on rapid sugar intake from nectar and carefully regulated body temperature. During cooler periods, they may bask in sunlight or vibrate flight muscles before takeoff to raise thoracic temperature high enough for sustained aerial control. Warm, sheltered gardens and picnic edges provide ideal thermal conditions, allowing prolonged feeding without excessive energy loss. Migration adds another hidden dimension to the encounter. Many hummingbird hawk moths undertake seasonal movements across vast distances, traveling between warmer breeding regions and temperate feeding grounds as flowering cycles shift throughout the year. A single hovering insect near the picnic blanket may already have crossed mountains, coastlines, or entire climatic zones, guided by temperature, daylight length, and the availability of nectar-rich habitats. As evening light softens around the flowering hedge, the moth continues moving from bloom to bloom with mechanical precision and bird-like grace. For a few moments, the picnic space becomes part of a larger pollination network, stretching far beyond the blanket itself. Humans resting among flowers and insects feeding among them are drawn by the same environmental promise: warmth, shelter, and concentrated biological abundance flourishing at the edge of cultivated and wild space. The dragonfly arrives like a flash of living metal over the waterline. One moment the air above the picnic blanket hangs still beneath the heavy warmth of late afternoon, and the next a scarlet body cuts through the open space with impossible speed, wings crackling faintly in the sunlight as it banks sharply above the grass. Its movement feels almost too precise to belong to an insect. The dragonfly does not drift or hover uncertainly like pollinators around flowers. It hunts with direct intent, carving invisible paths through the humid air above the pond and meadow where smaller insects gather in dense evening swarms. The picnic has been placed at the edge of an active feeding corridor. Humans are drawn instinctively toward water during warm weather. Riverbanks provide cooler air and open visibility. Ponds attract birdsong, shade and vegetation that soften the landscape into something calm and inviting. Yet fresh water margins are among the most biologically crowded environments in the natural world. Moisture supports explosive insect abundance, and wherever smaller insects gather, aerial predators inevitably follow. The scarlet dragonfly flying low across the blanket is not investigating food or human activity at all. It is navigating a hunting territory shaped by wind direction, sunlight, prey density, and thermal currents rising from the ground. Its body is built entirely around aerial predation. The elongated abdomen acts as a stabilizing counterweight during rapid directional changes, while two independently controlled wing pairs generate extraordinary maneuverability. Dragonflies can accelerate, hover, reverse direction, and pivot in mid-air with a level of control few other insects can approach. Their flight mechanics remain so efficient that engineers continue studying them for inspiration in drone design and aerodynamics. Around the picnic site, this precision becomes startlingly visible as the dragonfly intercepts tiny airborne prey only centimeters above human heads before darting away again toward the reeds. The eyes dominate the face completely. Massive compound structures, composed of thousands of individual visual units, wrap around the head in nearly continuous hemispheres, giving dragonflies some of the most advanced vision among insects. Motion detection is extraordinarily refined. Ultraviolet sensitivity allows enhanced prey tracking against reflective water surfaces, while rapid neural processing enables prediction of moving targets during pursuit. A mosquito changing direction mid-flight is often intercepted before it completes the maneuver. Tiny flies rising from damp grass become visible to the dragonfly long before humans notice them at all. This predatory efficiency explains why dragonflies frequently patrol picnic areas near wetlands and rivers. Human presence unintentionally increases prey concentration. Carbon dioxide, warmth, and food residues attract mosquitoes, gnats, and flies into the surrounding airspace. The picnic becomes a temporary feeding hotspot, not only for nuisance insects, but for the predators that specialize in consuming them. In a subtle ecological irony, some of the most intimidating insects near the blanket are also reducing the number of biting insects around it. The scarlet coloration itself carries ecological meaning. In many dragonfly species, males develop intense red pigmentation as they mature sexually, using color both to attract mates and signal territorial dominance to rivals. Along the pond edge, males compete aggressively for control of productive breeding zones where females arrive to lay eggs. Short aerial chases erupt constantly above reeds and shallow water as territories are defended through speed and endurance rather than physical combat. The picnic blanket, spread near the shoreline, lies directly beneath this ongoing airborne conflict. Dragonflies begin life far from the open sky they eventually dominate. Beneath the pond surface, hidden among mud and submerged vegetation, the larval stage unfolds in darkness as an aquatic predator. These nymphs possess extendable lower jaws, capable of shooting forward with explosive force to capture tadpoles, mosquito larvae, and even small fish. Some species remain underwater for years before emerging. When metamorphosis finally begins, the nymph climbs from the water onto reeds or stones, splits open along the thorax, and slowly pulls an entirely different body into the air. Wings expand. The exoskeleton hardens. A creature once adapted for underwater ambush transforms into one of the most skilled aerial hunters in the insect world. As evening deepens over the meadow, hunting intensity increases. Swarms of midges rise above damp grass in shimmering clouds, and dragonflies respond immediately, weaving through the dense insect columns with astonishing accuracy. Their success rate during pursuit is among the highest recorded for any predator, partly because they do not simply chase prey, but calculate interception trajectories in advance. The hunting corridor above the picnic is therefore not random open air, but a structured zone of continuous predator-prey interaction invisible to most human observers. Occasionally, the dragonfly passes close enough to cast a flickering shadow across plates or hands, triggering instinctive surprise. Yet it remains completely indifferent to the meal itself. The humans resting beside the pond are merely temporary obstacles, positioned inside an ancient feeding route governed by water, insect emergence, and aerial predation cycles that repeat every warm season. The dragonfly belongs not to the picnic, but to the open air surrounding it. A predator patrolling the invisible rivers of movement flowing constantly above wetland landscapes. The praying mantis is often discovered not through movement, but through the sudden realization that something has been motionless nearby for a very long time. A folded green shape clings to the handle of a picnic basket beside the grass. Another rests along the thin metal frame of a chair, angled so perfectly with the surrounding stems and leaves that the body seems manufactured from the vegetation itself. Only when the triangular head turns slowly toward nearby motion does the illusion collapse. The stillness becomes unmistakably alive. Unlike insects drawn toward food scraps or sugary residue, the mantis has little interest in the picnic itself. It has not arrived because of fruit, drinks, or bread. The encounter feels unnerving for a different reason entirely. The predator was already here before the blanket unfolded, waiting silently within the surrounding vegetation long before humans entered the space. The picnic has been placed directly inside an ambush zone. Edge habitats create these encounters naturally. Humans prefer transitional landscapes for outdoor rest, places where open sunlight meets taller vegetation, where meadows soften into hedgerows, gardens, or woodland margins. These locations provide balance. Enough light for warmth, enough shelter for comfort, enough visibility to feel open without exposure. But ecological edges are also among the richest hunting territories in nature. Insects move constantly between plant cover and open air. Pollinators drift along flower lines, and smaller prey species concentrate wherever vegetation density changes abruptly. Predators follow these movement corridors with equal precision. The mantis is built entirely around patience within such environments. Every aspect of its anatomy supports concealment and explosive predation. The elongated thorax elevates the head above the body like a stabilized observation platform, while enlarged compound eyes provide exceptional depth perception rare among insects. Unlike many arthropods with relatively fixed gaze directions, mantises can rotate their triangular heads nearly 180 degrees, allowing them to track movement independently of body position. Around the picnic setup, this creates the unsettling impression of direct attention whenever nearby motion triggers slow visual tracking. The folded forelegs give the mantis its iconic silhouette, yet these limbs are not passive appendages, but highly specialized trapping devices. Spines line the inner surfaces like biological barbs, snapping shut around prey with astonishing speed once a target enters striking range. High-speed studies reveal reaction times measured in fractions of a second, fast enough to intercept flies, moths, bees, and even small vertebrates in larger species. Yet despite this capability, the mantis spends most of its life doing almost nothing visible at all. Energy conservation is central to ambush predation. Instead of searching actively for prey, the mantis becomes part of the vegetation itself and waits for movement to come close. The picnic inadvertently enhances this hunting environment. Flowering plants surrounding blankets and baskets attract pollinators. Food scraps draw flies and wasps into the area. Moisture from drinks and fruit increases local insect activity near the ground. Every additional insect circling the picnic becomes potential prey passing through the mantis's strike zone. A folding chair placed beside ornamental grasses or shrubs may accidentally position itself directly along established insect movement routes already used throughout the day by bees, hoverflies, and butterflies. Camouflage deepens the illusion of intimacy. Many mantis species resemble leaves, bark, stems, or dried vegetation so effectively that detection depends almost entirely on movement. Subtle swaying behavior strengthens the disguise further. A mantis perched on a branch may rock gently in rhythm with surrounding plants moving in the wind, reducing visual contrast and helping the predator disappear into the environment even at close range. Some species possess disruptive coloration that breaks body outlines into fragments of green, brown, or shadow, while others mimic flowers themselves, luring pollinators directly toward hidden forelegs. Yet the predator is not invulnerable. Birds patrol edge habitats searching for exposed insects among stems and leaves. Lizards, frogs, spiders, and parasitic wasps prey upon younger mantises whenever camouflage fails. Even cannibalism plays a significant ecological role, especially during mating periods when larger females may consume males before, during, or after reproduction. Though often exaggerated in popular culture, this behavior reflects the brutal energetic pressures surrounding egg production and survival in predatory insects. Protein is valuable, and opportunities are rarely wasted. As late sunlight filters through surrounding plants, the mantis remains suspended within the picnic scene like a patient observer. Flies continue circling over exposed fruit. Bees drift between flowers nearby. Occasionally, the mantis adjusts position with deliberate slowness, climbing from a basket edge onto a hanging cloth fold where color and texture merge seamlessly with its body shape. Nothing about the insect suggests panic or territorial defense. The humans nearby are simply large moving objects, temporarily occupying a habitat already structured around hunting opportunity. The encounter feels deeply personal because mantises engage the environment visually in ways uncommon among insects. Their forward-facing gaze and deliberate tracking behavior create an almost vertebrate-like presence within the picnic space. For a moment, the relaxing outdoor scene shifts subtly in tone. The blanket, chairs, flowers, and baskets no longer feel separate from the surrounding ecosystem. They have become integrated into an active predatory landscape where camouflage, stillness, and timing govern survival with quiet precision. By the time darkness settles fully across the picnic ground, the atmosphere has changed completely. The warmth of the day lingers low against the earth, trapped beneath benches, baskets, and folded blankets that were never fully shaken clean. Open containers still hold traces of fruit juice and breadcrumbs. Damp napkins cling to the grass, where condensation and spilled drinks have soaked into the soil below. Human activity is fading now, reduced to scattered movement and dim light near the edges of the field. But the ecosystem surrounding the abandoned meal is only beginning its next phase. In the deepening dusk, another kind of scavenger emerges from the shelter of roots, logs, and hidden crevices to investigate what remains. The Madagascar cockroach appears slowly from beneath the shadow of a wooden bench, its polished body catching faint amber reflections from nearby lantern light. Unlike the rapid darting movements associated with smaller household cockroaches, this species advances with heavy, deliberate confidence, antennae sweeping constantly across the ground ahead. Its presence transforms the emotional tone of the picnic immediately. Earlier encounters with pollinators and hovering insects felt ecological, even expected within an outdoor landscape. The cockroach feels different. It introduces something ancient and deeply instinctive into the scene, a reminder of decomposition, darkness, and hidden biological systems operating beneath human comfort. Yet the insect itself is not an invader from filth or decay in the simplistic way people often imagine. Madagascar hissing cockroaches evolved within forest ecosystems where they function primarily as nocturnal recyclers. On the forest floor of Madagascar, beneath layers of fallen leaves and rotting wood, they consume decaying plant matter, fruit, fungi, and organic debris that would otherwise accumulate endlessly. In doing so, they participate directly in nutrient cycling, breaking complex material into forms accessible to microbes and soil organisms further down the decomposition chain. Around the picnic site, discarded scraps and damp organic residue replicate exactly the kind of feeding opportunities these scavengers evolved to exploit. The sheltered structure of the picnic itself creates ideal nighttime habitat conditions. During daylight hours, exposed ground risks overheating and dehydration for large-bodied insects sensitive to moisture loss. But as temperatures fall after sunset, the underside of baskets, benches, and containers traps humidity while retaining residual warmth from the day. These shaded cavities become temporary microhabitats, cool enough to prevent overheating, humid enough to reduce desiccation, and protected enough to hide from nocturnal predators. The cockroach does not emerge randomly into the open field. It follows gradients of shelter, scent, and humidity toward a concentrated source of organic material. Its antennae guide nearly every movement. Long segmented sensory organs extend far beyond the body length, touching surfaces continuously in a flowing rhythm that maps the environment through texture, chemical traces, and air currents. In darkness, vision becomes secondary. The cockroach navigates primarily through tactile and chemical information, detecting food particles, obstacles, and potential threats long before physical contact occurs. crushed fruit near the blanket edge releases fermenting compounds into the cooling air. Bread absorbs moisture and softens against the grass. Tiny fungal spores already begin colonizing damp organic fragments invisible to the human eye. To the cockroach, the picnic site has become a rich nocturnal feeding patch entering the earliest stages of decomposition. The body itself reveals extraordinary evolutionary durability. Madagascar cockroaches possess heavily armored exoskeletons that protect against predators while reducing water loss in fluctuating environments. Spiracles along the body regulate respiration efficiently, allowing survival in low-oxygen crevices and crowded shelters. Even more remarkable is the species' ability to produce its famous hissing sound. Air forced through modified breathing openings creates sharp defensive bursts used during territorial disputes, courtship, and predator deterrence. Few insects generate audible sound in such a direct way, and the effect feels strangely mammalian compared to the subtler noises of most arthropods. Predators remain active around the picnic as well. Small mammals patrol the grass, searching for exposed insects beneath benches and containers. Owls move silently between trees overhead, while geckos and frogs hunt near damp edges where insect traffic increases after dark. The cockroach survives within this dangerous nighttime landscape through caution, armor, and a preference for narrow shelter corridors inaccessible to larger hunters. As the insect climbs slowly over the edge of a forgotten food container, another truth about the encounter becomes clear. Humans often imagine the picnic ending when the meal is over and the light fades. Ecologically, the opposite is true. Leftover food, moisture, and shelter continue generating biological activity long after people begin packing away belongings. Scavengers inherit the site in stages. Ants work first beneath daylight. Flies and beetles follow decomposition as darkness deepens. Cockroaches arrive later, exploiting the humid protected transition zone between fresh leftovers and true decay. The discomfort surrounding the cockroach encounter comes partly from recognizing how quickly nature reclaims abandoned abundance. The polished insect moving confidently through the shadows beneath the picnic bench is not disrupting the ecosystem, it is completing it. What began hours earlier as a carefully arranged human gathering has already become integrated into the nightly rhythms of scavengers, decomposers, predators, and shelter-seeking insects that transform temporary human comfort into another brief pulse of energy flowing through the landscape.